I have a question to these professors, the distinguished professors, Professor Hapuarachi, Professor Jayawardena, and Professor Satyaseelan. Three of you can answer, because in Western medicine, we always rely on good research, and we call it evidence-based medicine. My question to you professors are, we very well know Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, these are great science of medicines. But how much research is done in Sri Lanka and how much evidence-based? I mean, you claim that there are no side effects with Ayurveda or Siddha medicines, but how much is demonstrated as evidence-based? Can I ask Professor Jayawardena to answer that, please? Or Dr. Hapuarachi?
Yes. Yeah, there are some clinical trials ongoing to show the evidences and efficacy of the Ayurveda formulas and some traditional formulas. There are some PhDs. One of my PhD also is on the clinical study regarding on Munronia pinnata on the diabetes. The researches are going on, but the thing is it's very limited because due to the difficult to getting grants and like this. So sponsoring is very difficult to get because it's NSF granting also very difficult. The other grantings institutes is getting very competitive. So it is very needful things. Yeah, there are some researchers on, and all are some published in SCI journals also.
Excellent. I think that is what we need. I mean, we need to get more grants on doing research rather than just self-claiming, oh, this has no side effects and this is great and all that. Yeah. And especially,
sorry? Yes.
Yes, Professor Jayawardena, we'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
As academicians, we all are bounded to do the researches. And we are doing research, so many researchers. But the thing is, in my point of view, what we are doing is our old ancient Indian philosophers, they have mentioned these medicines are very well cure the disease conditions. These medicine can cure the hepatic disorders. These medicine can cure the arthritis conditions. They have mentioned those things. What we are doing is by using the modern medicine, modern concepts, we are trying to prove that concept. And rather than the other, we are not doing much more things. I mean, actually, we are doing researches, but we are limited to some framework. And however, we need to prove our concepts for the modern science and the modern community. And that means that we are doing researches. In my point, these researchers are not dealing with our concepts also. We have to highlight our concepts rather than the modern concepts. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Jayawardena. And I wish companies like Spa Salon and Tinne, you get patients, I mean, you get clienteles, and I'm sure you have all the documentation and feedbacks, honest feedback saying that, oh, I had this after the treatment, I'm okay. Something like that. Do you guys have something like that in your companies? Can I ask Dylan, Mr. Balasuriya to answer that?
Yeah. In terms of what we do, we don't do therapeutic treatments. But in terms of the more lifestyle things we do, like sleep and de-stress and so on, there are times that we do get feedback. I mean, we get feedback on every single treatment as well, on how they feel and so on. But in the long term, we do get feedback. So we do have feedback in that sense. But like Dr. Nama said, there are a lot of what we do now. What we are doing is also working on knowledge that has been passed on for generations and seeing how it can be interpreted in a modern consumer need point of view. So there's a lot of knowledge out there, a lot of proven ingredients and ways of using them that will, although not tested in modern science, are working, and that generational knowledge has proved that it does work. So a lot of that is still in play, and a lot of Ayurveda doctors and in our Panchakarma and all that is being used quite effectively. While I know of some research that is being done on newer usages of old knowledge as well, which is also great. But there is still a lot of knowledge that has proved over the ages to be quite useful in treatment of especially lifestyle diseases and so on.
Thanks, Dilan. I mean, I'm not trying to compare the Western research, and because Ayurveda itself, it's all research based. Our philosophers gave us, but we live in a modern age with computers, computing, technology, and information technology has grown so far. Do you think? I mean, I think it's time for us to test these treatments in the Western point of view, so that we can prove certain things and we can actually disprove certain myths about Ayurveda. I mean, do you think that's a good way of doing it?
No, absolutely. I mean, moving forward now, Ayurveda has been also pushing for insurance coverage. In some countries it's getting it, some countries it's not. So as we go into that kind of approach is essential, where you do clinical trials and so on. In terms of our cosmetics, we do modern testing, allergy testing, all that. So everything is tested, because when we do take it to a different country, especially going to Europe and Japan and so on, everything needs to be tested. All the reports need to be presented and so on. So testing is done, and there are some clinical trials going on in Ayurveda as well. I think the doctors will highlight that. So I do find the need, or feel the need for this kind of testing, because it then helps position Ayurveda better, and that's what we need to do.
Absolutely. I know what you mean by testing is the safety testing, but what I'm talking is about the efficacy testing. So I'm sure that's coming. Dilhan, do you have a comment on that, please?
We've not been doing therapy for such a long time, which is why, like I said, people generally don't tend to associate Jaffna with Ayurveda, which is why this forum is sort of ideal to let people know what we have and the fact that the facilities are available there. So we've not got any real feedback on the therapy we've done, because it really unfortunately hasn't been as much as we'd like to have had done. So hopefully in time to come, with the awareness created, and I realize after today's forum that there are people in Jaffna who I probably need to link up with regards to maybe tweaking the therapy more towards what is available in the north. Hopefully we'll have some good feedback in time to come.
Excellent. I think that's the way to go. We need to put these great science into the modern testing thing. I mean, my intention is not to criticize or suggest, but this is my vision I am just putting on. Now let me invite Mrs. Renuka Sonoraja for her expert concluding remarks. Here we go, Mrs. Sonoraja. The stage is yours. Renuka?
Right. Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone. It was really a very interesting webinar, because it was a complete arc going from ancient times to the most modern times. and from a more theoretical view as to what what the philosophy is, the mind, body, environment, those philosophies of holistic medicine, onto the more curative, therapeutic sort of interventions that could take place. I think from my point of view, the way I looked at it was when COVID started, what I realized was people were saying that, for example, we ran out of turmeric in all the shops in all around the UK, and I heard also in Australia. So people are recognizing very, very early on, really, that there is a real role to play for all these spices and so on. So this is something that we as Asians who have from time immemorial used these turmerics and other spices and understand the therapeutic value to actually, if you like, jump on the bandwagon, as it were, and start doing things which can be communicated. And I think Charlene made a very good point about communicating all of this to our own youth and so on. The other thing that was interesting to hear was, I think Dr. Swarna Hapwarachi mentioned the pharmacopoeia. That would be something that's very useful if it was, if you like, standardized and put together. So, for example, I mean, was living in Singapore for a long time, and I was with one of the authorities there, where the traditional Chinese medicines are regulated. So you have to have all the ingredients and also the shops and their marketing, as well as if there's anything goes wrong, there's a feedback system for the regulator to intervene. So though they understand there haven't been lots of, if you like, evidence-based collection like in the Western systems, they know from historical evidence that those drugs actually do have an impact. So perhaps that is one way we could think of it in terms of regulating or having a system of putting those medications, because obviously it was wonderful to hear from the Colombo, the departments where the training is obviously very thorough, and there's all regulated. You have the diplomas, you have the degrees and the PhDs, but then when you come to the actual medicines, that's the bit where, you and I will go and buy things from a chemist or buy things from a shop, but we don't know what's in it. And it would be great if that could be, if you in some way regularized. Now, the other thing, of course, is the export earnings, which that again is very interesting to hear the possibilities, and particularly from the north. I mean, our home is very in Chunaham. We live in Chunaham. So I'm here in London for the moment with my daughter and grandchildren. And it's, Finlay is a lovely organic farm. I've got no connection with Finlay, so I'm not advertising it, but it is a beautiful space. And it's lovely to see that locally that they are actually producing and they're giving these treatments, because obviously every village, if you go around Jaffna and in the north, has the Siddha clinics, the free Siddha clinics. And so many people actually go to those clinics. Now, I was just wondering if there were any particular questions that people have and they wish to ask any of our very knowledgeable panelists and speakers. So I'd like to end on that note. And are there any questions from the audience? I'm just wondering, maybe you could put up your hand, or can you see if anyone wants to?
I think Mrs. Perumal Pillai is add a comment.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to, everyone talked about the fact that there was not adequate incentives given for the promotion of indigenous medicine in Sri Lanka. We've got a new government now. Can anyone speak on, what is the new, what sort of policies would be useful to be, advocated to the new government, both from, from the people who are selling the products to, and what sort of lobby? Because, and I'm not sure which ministry, I guess it still comes under the Ministry of Health, but what proportion of the budget actually goes to health, what proportion goes into research, obviously not very much. But I think that it's something that requires to be promoted. So it'd be good to have a sort of an advocacy piece on this to be given to the new government and saying this is something that's useful, and
It's something that lifestyle and is something that's being promoted in the rest of the world. And I think we should take the opportunity.
That's a great.
That's an excellent.
Yeah, go ahead, Renuka.
No, that's an excellent idea, actually.